Hey everyone, John here, and welcome back to the Toy Box. How are you guys doing today? I hope you're having a great day and a wonderful weekend. I also hope that you're ready for more Generation 4 Pokemon Center Sitting Cuties Plushes. Today we're looking at the big three legendaries. First, we'll look at Dialga, then Palkia, and finally Giratina. So sit back, relax, and enjoy. We're going to start things off with Dialga. Dialga is the box legendary of Pokemon Diamond, as well as Pokemon Brilliant Diamond. It's also my favorite out of the three, mostly because I used it the most when playing Gen 4. Let's take a look at the plush. First, Dialga passes the standing test. This means the plush is able to stand on its own without help from the wall or any other objects. Dialga's colors match the Pokemon in the games pretty well. I'll talk about the scaling of the plush later when we bring all three together at the end because I feel it's something that applies to all three, and I want to talk a little more about it separately. Now, the details for Dialga are done pretty well in some areas, and honestly need some work in others. Let's take a look at those up close. So first, we'll start off with the head, and this is where my chief complaint will come in. So Dialga has this crest that comes out of its head, and you can see the other side here. So I like the color and I like the shape, but I really don't like how it was attached. So you can see these threads, you can see the stitching done here, and I really wish they had a different way of doing it because this should have been smooth completely. And there's the other side. And if you turn the head up here, you can see that the symmetry is also off. This one is higher than this one. I don't know if this one should be lower or if this one should be higher, but either way, the symmetry is a little bit off. And I wish that was different. Now, the good part, I really like the embroidered details on this plush. So here are the eyes. I like the mouth here. And then my favorite part of the plush are these stripes that Dialga has. So in the games, these stripes kind of light up, or they're just very shiny. And I think they did a really good job with that on the plush. The whole stripe is embroidered with this light blue shiny thread. So it looks really nice. Take a look at it from this angle. You can probably see it a little bit better. And I love this about this plush. You can take a look at the stripes on the side also. And here's the other side. Now, the chest, I like the way they did the piece in the center. Now, I've talked about this with Regice when we looked at the Reggie plushes. And so this part of Dialga is meant to be a very hard part. And by hard, I mean it's like a diamond. Dialga is the legendary for Pokemon Diamond, so it's going to have some resemblances to that. I like the embroidering done here, and I like these lines here that show where the corners are. Now, the hard part about working with a plush when you have a Pokemon like Dialga is that you can't just make this whole thing just hard like a rock because it's a stuffed animal. It's just the way it is. So you use these lines. So I really like how it is. It's pretty soft. Now, it's a little harder than the rest of the plush, but it's still soft, so that's good. Now let's take a look at the legs. Now I like the legs. We have another stripe coming down here, and then we have these claws at the end. You can take a look at it from this angle. You can take a look at the other leg. Now the back legs are a little thicker and a little bit shorter. But here they are. You can see the stripes coming down here. They're really shiny now. Here's the other side. Now let's take a look at the body. So first of all, we have these spikes coming out of the neck. So you can see this is like a double layered material, the same as with the crest up here. And then we have these spikes that come out right over the tail. So we can take a closer look. So this is also meant to be another hard part of the plush. The lines here show where the corners would be. You can see the other side of it right here. Now the tail is right here. We have one more stripe right here. Now overall, this is one of the harder plushes. So most of the Pokemon Center sitting Cuties plushes are stuffed to a medium firmness. This one's a little more towards the hard side. So a lot more firm than the normal plushes. And the pellets are all down here around where this stripe is, so that Dialga can balance. And lastly, here are the tags. So here's the front. Here is the back of this tag. And then we also have the other tag right here. So anyways, that is Dialga. I really like the Pokemon and this plush. It balances out for me because there were some areas that I really liked, like the embroidered stripes, and some that I didn't like so much, like the crest on its head. So let's move on and take a look at Palkia. Palkia is the box legendary for Pokemon Pearl as well as Pokemon Shining Pearl. I didn't use Palkia too much since my brother was the one who had Pearl, and he doesn't care for legendaries so much, so I didn't get to see Palkia very often. Let's take a look at the plush. Palkia also passes the standing test, just like Dialga. The colors are done well, but the scaling issues that I see on all three Pokemon affect Palkia the most. I like a lot of the details for this plush, so let's take a look at them up close. So first, let's take a look at the head. The eyes here are embroidered. I really like that. We have the mouth here. And then we have this crest that comes up here. And it stretches out into these wings for Palkia. I don't think Palkia can actually fly with them, but we've seen them float. But there you go. So the arms. So this is my favorite part of the plush. I like this diamond right here that's embroidered. And I like the stripes here. So just like Dialga, Palkia has these stripes here that kind of shimmer. You can see that here. So that's a nice touch. The shoulders are stuffed pretty firmly. We have these claws that come out at the end of the hand right here, and these shield coming over here. This bothers me a little bit that it bends this way, but I don't think there's much we can do about that. Just tuck it in right here, and that's it. The underside of the arms are gray. Take a look at the other side of the plush so you can see the other arm. Now, the chest has the gray underside right here. We have the details for the stripes. The next stripe is shining, but it doesn't look like the other ones are. I think that is correct. So you can see it like this. Let's take a look at the legs. Now, this should have been the largest part of the plush because Palkia has pretty huge legs, but it's one of the shortest. We have this is the white part. We have the foot, the purple foot, and these claws, and then one little claw back here. Here's the other leg so that you can see the other side. You can see these lines on here too. Now, the body is very firm. The pellets are near the tail over here. So they're around right here. This is how Palkia can balance. And you see the purple stripes coming out here. And here is a tag. Here's the first one. And then we have these tags here near the tail. So there we go. So that is Palkia. I like the details for this plush, but I'm a little conflicted about the scaling. And overall, I like the plush a lot, mainly because of the attention to detail and the embroidered pieces. Now, when these Pokemon plushes started coming out years and years ago, when I was a kid, most of the details were done with silk screening, and this would wear out very easily if you play with your plushes, so I really appreciate all these embroidered details that we're getting. So, now that we've looked at Palkia, let's move on to Giratina. So lastly, we're going to look at Giratina. Giratina is the box legendary for Pokemon Platinum. I used Giratina for a bit, but I did not play Platinum as long as I did Diamond, so Dialga still takes the #1 spot. I still like Giratina a lot though. The altered form looks better to me though than the origin form, so that's why I opted to buy the altered form rather than the origin form. Let's take a look at the plush. First things first, Giratina passes the standing test. The colors for this plush are spot on and I love the details. Again, we'll talk about the scaling of these plushes in a little bit. For now, let's look at the details up close. So, starting with the head, the embroidered part here will be Giratina's face, which is the eyes, and then the mouth here. So it looks pretty intimidating. And then we have the sides of the head. We have these eyebrows, and this looks like maybe part of the jaw right here. And you can see it from the back. Now on the neck, we have these rings coming out here. They go to the side. You can see them from this side too. And then we have these stripes that come down. I've always thought it looks kind of like Giratina's wearing a tie. But I'm not sure how they color these, but the coloring is done very well, so that detail is just like in the games. Now let's take a look at the wings. So these wings feel pretty nice. It feels like there's 2 layers of fabric here making up the wings, and when you squeeze it, it kind of feels like there's air inside, so I love that feeling with the plushes, so it's pretty cool. So it's very soft, I like it. We have these red spikes, which are made of a different material than the rest of the plush. I'm not sure what it is, but these are pretty cool, and they're pretty sturdy. Here it is. And here's the other side of the wings so that you can take a look. And then one detail that you can easily miss here is this embroidered point right here. So I like that they put these details into the plushes when you wouldn't necessarily be looking at them. I just like that kind of craftsmanship. So here's the other wing. And you can see from the other side. Now the legs. Giratina has 6 legs and they're all basically the same. So we'll go ahead and look at this one here so you can see the details. There's the leg. They're pretty firm. We have a ring coming out around the sides. So you can see two pieces of the ring. And they go like this. Kind of has the same issue that Dialga had with the head, but this is on the legs, so it's not on the head. So I don't mind it as much as the Dialga one, but it's still kind of there. We have these claws here, and then this part here is colored. And you can see it's the same for all 6 legs, so I'll show you all these. And there you go. So these are the legs. Now for the body, and again, I don't know exactly how they're colored, but we have stripes here that are colored around the plush. I kind of wished it was embroidered the way Dialga and Palkia are, but I guess it wasn't done for this one. The plush is very firm, so just like Dialga and Palkia, the Giratina plush is also more firm than most of the other plushes. The pellets here are near the back legs, so it's around this area. And then here is the tail. Now lastly, we'll take a look at the tags. We have this one right here. And then we have this one. So anyways, that is Giratina. So overall, I think this Pokemon is proportioned the best out of the 3. And I think all the details are great. Now, while Giratina did not have the #1 spot for me as my favorite 4th gen box legendary overall, I do like this plush the best out of the 3. So let's go ahead and bring them all back together. Alright, we have everyone together again. We're at the end, so now I'm going to talk about the thing that I kept saying I was going to talk about at the end. That is the scaling of these plushes. Now, what do I mean by scaling? I'm talking about the sizes of each of the Pokemon's features compared with the rest of its body. Is the head too big? Are the legs too small? So on. Generally, I find that the smaller Pokemon, the pre-evolutions, do much better in this area than the larger ones, And I believe that the reason for this is because larger Pokemon tend to have larger bodies in general, and keeping the scale exact might either be difficult, or the plush might not look as nice if you keep that scale. Is this good or bad? I don't know, and I'm hesitant to say because what's good to me might be bad to you. The best I can do here is explain my own reasoning. So first, let's take a look at Dialga. Now, if the plush were to be scaled better, the neck would be about as long as the legs, and the head would be about half the size. Now, would it look better? I'm not sure. And I can't tell for sure because I'm not comparing them side by side, but I have the feeling that it wouldn't. In particular, I think the smaller head would make the details in the head a lot harder to do, and they wouldn't look as good on a plush this size. So I'm happy with the plush being scaled the way it is. Now, for Palkia, if the plush were to be scaled more accurately, I think that the legs should be a bit bigger, the neck should be a bit shorter. Also, the upper arms here should be a little bit smaller. Now, I definitely think that in Palkia's case, bigger legs and a shorter neck would help, but I do like the shoulders. These embroidered parts right here, the pearls on either side, and these stripes here are actually my favorite parts of this plush, and I'm glad that they're a little more exaggerated in this plush. I mean, of course, up to a limit. But these embroidered parts here are my favorite, and I'm glad that they stand out a bit more. Now, I actually think Giratina is scaled pretty well. The only thing is that the head would be much smaller if the scale were to be more accurate. However, I would not like the plush as much if they did that because I don't think it would look as good. Now, why wait until the end of the video to mention this? If you have been following this channel from the beginning, then you know that I appreciate a lot of details in my plushes, and I like them to look as accurate as possible. In fact, some of the scaling issues are the reason why I never really liked the Pokédoll line. Sitting Cuties really hit the sweet spot for me because they're small, but they're very detailed. And these details are so well done, and the scaling is pretty good. Now, when I first saw these three plushes, I thought, wow, the scaling does seem off. But then I sat down and thought about it a bit more, and I decided that even though the scale is off, I think the plushes actually look better this way. And I need to be a little more flexible. But that's my opinion. What do you guys think about this? Let me know in the comments below. Anyways, that's it for the Pokemon Center Dialga, Palkia, and Giratina Sitting Cuties plushes. Which of these plushes is your favorite? Let me know in the comments. If you're interested in these plushes, I'll put Pokemon Center links in the description. That's all I have for you guys this week. Thank you so much for watching, and as always, rate, subscribe, and don't stop playing.